Hello. So I'm not good at this at all, just letting you guys know in advance. So I picked Matthew 18, verse 1 through 9. And in terms of the literary world, when his disciples asked him about who the greatest is in the kingdom of heaven, Jesus first responds by using step poetry. He tells them in Matthew 18, 3-5, truly I tell you, unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. And whoever becomes humble like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. He is trying to get them to understand that there is no such thing as the greatest of them all until they become humble like the child and learn to have faith in the world. They will not be welcome in the kingdom of heaven. The question they asked was trivial and not what living a Christ-like life is all about. He then goes on to use metaphors to show them that the way they're behaving will not get them anywhere. In Matthew 18, verse 6-7, he says, if any of you put a stumbling block before one of these little ones who believe in me, it would be better for you if a great millstone were fastened around your neck and you were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of stumbling blocks. Occasions for stumbling are bound to come, but woe to the one by whom the stumbling block comes. This is a metaphor Jesus uses to tell his disciples that no one should ever try and change the way a child's innocent mind and heart feels about him. And no matter what, there will be challenges, but it's up to them to overcome those challenges. By having faith in their Lord, and those that do stumble due to not having faith will likely burn in hell. In those times, hell, what they considered hell, what they called hell, or what they called the fire, back in the day, according to our new Oxford Bible that we use for this class, it actually was a place where they would, it was used for like child sacrifice, and it was also used for like burning garbage. They would take their garbage there to incinerate it. So I guess they called that hell too. So it's kind of interesting to find that fact. And I actually found it in that Bible. It's at the bottom. So it's kind of interesting to find that too. In terms of historical world, this passage, I feel like Jesus is trying to teach them how to have faith in the Lord and what he has planned for them. He's trying to teach them not to give in to temptations. For his disciples, he meant for them to take seriously the lessons that he was teaching them. About temptations, they would come to see in the future, there would be a lot of temptations for them to overcome, and for them to have faith in the Lord so that they could overcome them. Not to take lightly and not to give in to the temptations of titles such as being the greatest. I felt like that was something that would be of great historical context in terms of that passage. During that time, there was a lot of stuff going on. Jesus and his followers were not the most popular. A lot of people did not like them, and he was doing a lot of things such as spreading his word against popular beliefs and putting his own life at risk and putting his followers' lives at risk during that time. And they followed him, believing in him, even though they knew that there was a chance that they could be killed or they could die spreading this word. And they did so, even so, because they believed in him. And I think he wanted them to know, just how serious it was, and it wasn't something to be taken lightly. And that's in this passage. I feel like he wanted them to know, like, don't question whether or not you're going to get into the kingdom of heaven. Like, just have faith, and as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and having faith, then you will get there. And as far as the contemporary world, it seems this passage is calling for humility. Like, he's asking them to be humble. In our world, I don't know how this would connect to us. I feel like we as a people have totally lost track of everything, much of what he has tried to teach us and what we were supposed to have learned from his teachings and and what he wanted us to learn and know from all of what he tried to teach us as a people back then. I feel like if he was trying to teach us what he taught them then, if he was trying to teach us that now, he would probably end up in a psychiatric ward. I mean, that's just being completely honest. That people would not listen to him now. It's not something that people would want to even hear. Even the most church-going person now would not want to listen, because they just wouldn't. It's really hard now for people to open up their hearts and minds to these kind of things without having the full context of why they should listen, or what the reason is, or if there's even anything in it for them to be able to listen, or for a reason for them to listen. I feel like he really did want his disciples to take heart, and knowing that the way that they were behaving and arguing over who was the greatest was just not a Christ-like way to behave. He didn't like that, and he didn't appreciate it. Him seeing us the way we behave now in these days, I don't think he would appreciate it either. I think he'd be disappointed in us, in the way that most of us behave now. I had a little bit of a hard time with this, because this passage was altogether hard to translate into, putting it into the three worlds translations or presentation, because putting it into our world now, he was very literal in the way that he said certain things, even though I know that he meant it in metaphors, and he used step poems, and he used irony and stuff like that in his speech, and the way that he was trying to say things to his people, his disciples. Nowadays, I feel like if you talk to somebody like that, they would probably take you literal. Some people might be offended. It would be, I think it would depend on who he was telling and where he was doing it. So yeah, that's what I have for now. So I hope that was okay for you guys, and sorry it was so confusing. I myself I'm a little confused by the whole thing as well. So good luck, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you guys' videos as well.